Our next cycle was a lot more extreme than anything I had done before. We started out at 20 milligrams of Anavar per day.
This is a man cycle. You're going to turn into a man. Hannah Hussein. We're getting into her actual contest prep cycles, the bad ones. What did she end up taking? And so she's previously, if you haven't watched the video, she'd previously taken Tren, 150 milligrams a week. That was her first cycle. She then took 10 milligrams of Winstrol. And the third cycle, she was up to 15 milligrams of Anavar and 50 milligrams of injectable Deca. But what is she ready for next? The judges said she's too small. Hey, you don't have enough muscle and you're not lean enough. Editor, show a photo of too small. Her back looks bigger than mine. Are you ready? First real cycle. And so Novadex, a serum, it doesn't build muscle. Starting at 8 weeks out, take 10 milligrams every 12 hours. So 20 milligrams daily. Why? What purpose would adding in Nova right now do to her body? Is the coach thinking, oh, she probably has too much estrogen because she's a woman and she should be a man for some reason at 8 weeks out? And so what often happens is women, they're looking a little bit puffy. They have a little bit of bloating, a little bit of water, and the athlete and the coach is thinking, well, how can I shut them up? How can I make them feel like I'm coaching them? Not just saying, hey, just take this. I need to give them something else. I need to convince them that I'm the expert. And so we're going to use abusive levels of Novadex, 10 milligrams twice a day at 8 weeks out. How you look at 8 weeks has no function of how you're going to look like on stage. And so even if it were to lower your estrogen, to decrease it, to prevent it from binding, whatever it did, it didn't need to be added at 8 weeks. It's moronic, it's stupid, it's a waste of time. And I see it from so many coaches. There's no reason to use it at 8 weeks out. It would be analogous to saying you need to go on a diuretic. 8 weeks out, we're competing in 8 weeks. You're holding a little bit of water over there. And so you're going to go on a diuretic. Really? It's 8 weeks out. And up next, for diuretics, get both aldactone, 25 tablets. 25 tabs, 25 milligrams each. Diazad, 3 tabs, 25 milligrams plus 37.5 triamterene. You can split those in half. And so what that means is for 25 days, she's going to be taking a diuretic. Why? For 25 days, I can understand on a show day or a photo shoot, you're going to take 1 or 2 of these because you need to get leaner. But 25, as well as 3 hardcore diuretics. Now, would I take that many? Nope. And I take more diuretics than almost anyone. I wouldn't take that many. And so we have a female who's going to use an abusive amount of diuretics who's previously passed out on stage. We know that prior use has made her uncomfortable, almost died. We're now going to up her doses and give her more? This is moronic. Anavar, 10 milligrams a day starting 16 weeks out. Stay at 10 milligrams until 8 weeks out, bump to 15. 10 milligrams at 16 weeks out, bumping up to 15. For a woman in figure, I do believe this is normal. This is not abusive, although it will cause virilization in some females. It's not as much as she's previously done. She's then going to increase the dose to 20 milligrams the last 4 weeks. What many of you don't know is that steroids for the first 8 weeks, they work abundantly well. And so whatever dose you're taking on day 1, for 8 weeks straight, you're going to get a lot of gains. But then suddenly your gains, they slow down or they begin to diminish. And so at that point, you can either accept the fact that you're not going to keep growing like a weed, or you're going to have to up the doses. And so the coach is titrating up the dose. He's starting at 10, going on to 15, and finally going up to 20. Winstrol, 10 milligrams daily the last 4 weeks. And so the last 4 weeks, this is where the cycle can go wrong. She's going from 15 milligrams to 20 while adding in 10 milligrams of Winstrol. 10 milligrams of Winstrol alone, that is a lot. And so these final 4 weeks, if she's thinking, you know what, I'm starting to get the voice crackle, the change, if it starts, it's game over. 4 weeks on these doses, you're not going back. NPP, that's the fast-acting Deca, starting 16 weeks out at 50 milligrams twice a week. She's now doubled her doses. She was using 50 milligrams before. It's now up to about 100. Deca at 100 milligrams, what many coaches are going to say is, look, testosterone, tren, that's dangerous. You can't use those things, but Deca, it's actually tolerated a lot well in comparison to test and or tren. Many coaches who coach females, they convince their women to take Deca, which is safer than test and tren. It's more hair safe. It doesn't convert to DHT. It also can make them feel better. It's going to cause some more water retention and some bloating, for example. Remember, when males take this, we gain a lot of weight very quickly. It's more people talk about their joints feel better, like a lubricant. For me, it caused Deca dick. I absolutely hated it. But remember when I commented on her stomach? Did you not see it was kind of had that bloating kind of look? She didn't have that crisp, dry looking obliques and abdominals. Well, Deca ain't it. And yeah, it's safer than test and tren. Does that mean it's safe? It's not as safe as Anavar. You're of a moderate risk of virilization, especially when you up the doses. And so at 50 milligrams, if you said, hey, I didn't get any negative side effects, so I'll just double it to 100. You can't double something and think that it's safe. Perhaps you can go up by 10 or 20%, but if you double it, you're asking for trouble. And so 100 milligrams of Deca, moderate risk, least moderate, combined with 140 milligrams now of Anavar, combined with 70 milligrams of Winstrol, and it's too much. It's everything adds up together. If you're thinking, oh, I know, I'll just take 5 milligrams of each steroid, they're all low risk, and I'll take 10 steroids of 5 milligrams. If you do that, you've taken 50 every day. They pile up. And so you can't just say, I'll take this low risk, and this low risk, and that low risk, and take them all in unison, and I'm low risk. Doesn't work like that.
I also switched from the figure division to the physique division at this point.
This is a problem, a major problem. As soon as you start going up divisions, you need more muscle, you need to be leaner. You got your women's fit model, then your bikini, then you got your wellness, and then you got your figure, and then your women's physique, and then your women's bodybuilding. Go, David! Every time you go up a category, the risks go up, the drugs go up, everything goes up. She could have gone on lower doses and stayed in figure, but hey, she didn't want that.
Novadex is often introduced in the final weeks leading up to a show because it helps tighten up the physique.
Notice she said Novadex is introduced the final few weeks to tighten up a physique. Yes. Final few weeks is not 8. If I said I cheated on my diet for just a few weeks, and they say, well, how many? 2 or 3? And they said 8. Okay. It was 8 weeks. Final few weeks. And so if you're a woman using Nova, it's not for 8 weeks. It's for a few weeks, 2 or 3, and at half of those doses.
He did have me on diuretics. He had me on aldactone at 25 milligram tablets and diazide at the same dosage. The diuretics were not used until a couple days out from the show. So from 16 weeks to 18 weeks out from my show, I was on 10 milligrams of Anavar a day, 50 milligrams of NPP twice a week, which comes out to 100 milligrams a week. That total was 170 milligrams a week of anabolic load.
And so I'm now hearing that he put her on 2 separate potassium-sparing diuretics all at the same time. 25 of one diuretic and 3 of the other for only 2 days. I mean, did she actually take 28 diuretics in 2 days? This is absolutely ridiculous. It's dangerous. No wonder this woman doesn't want to use diuretics. Had you said, take a half of one of these and a half of one of those, do you really think she would have had all these problems? But when you start taking dozens of them, there lies a problem. It's like saying, hey, coach, I don't ever want to use any steroids. I don't want to risk virilization. Okay, cool. What did you take last time? Well, I took 100 milligrams of tren each and every day. Well, I was going to suggest 4 milligrams of Anavar. Nope, none. It's too dangerous. You have to compare apples to apples. If you're trying to get ready for competition without the use of diuretics, this is what you can do. If you're consuming more sodium, it increases the anti-diuretic hormone. That means that your body retains more water. And so what we do prior to competition is we dramatically reduce sodium. This decreases the production of anti-diuretic hormone, allowing you to release or pee out more dilute water. And this, in fact, diuretics your body. It makes you lose water. And so when I competed 42 times natural, could not use diuretics. And so this is what I did. For 3 days, I would reduce my sodium and I would drink more water. I would pee profusely. And so even without diuretics, I was able to get shredded. Now, with the use of performance-enhancing drugs, oftentimes the testosterone converts to estrogen. You look bloated, for example, if you're using testosterone. And so drug coaches, bodybuilding coaches will have the athletes reduce their use of testosterone. This is so that you're not retaining so much water. But in addition to that, you're also adding in diuretic towards the end of competition, right at the end, so that you can pee out a little bit more water. Is it dangerous? Abso-friggin-lutely. Not saying it's not, but if you're looking to win a competition, win at all costs, and trust me, if you've been using 16 weeks of steroids, 8 weeks of tren, and so on, you're not going to care about using a diuretic the day of the competition. When you dehydrate your body also has self-defense mechanism. It's trying to prevent you from getting overly dehydrated. After all, it wants to keep you alive. Your body, it's very smart. And so the anti-diuretic hormone, it's going to spike up to help prevent you from getting dehydrated. And at that point, you're adding in a diuretic. It's shutting this safety valve off and allowing you to pee out even more water, cause you to get more dehydrated, which obviously is very dangerous. But that's bodybuilding. Why do you think bodybuilders have died on stage? For this very reason. I would say more people die from using diuretics at showtime than they do from the steroids themselves. Now remember, it's 1 + 1 = 2. Because they're using the testosterone and steroids, their bodies are more susceptible to the arrhythmias. And in addition to that, you add in the diuretics. And so because of everything, that's what's causing so many people to die.
He also had me on Clen and T3 at this time. Clen or Clenbuterol, it's not an androgenic steroid. It increases metabolic rate by increasing temperature. The side effects from this cycle, I went from 130 pounds to 140.
In addition to that, she used Clen and T3 to get shredded. And she says during this time, she went from 130 to 140. She's dieting down T3, Clen, steroids, everything. And her body weight, it goes up while dieting.
At this point, I had very noticeable hair loss. That's when I really started to notice it. I had loss of facial fat volume. I lost my period again. And my sex drive was dumb, like through the roof.
So she lost her facial fat. I mean, frankly, she probably lost breast tissue as well. She was getting leaner. She lost her period and she put on more muscle. Imagine starting a cut at 130 and finishing the cut at 140. This is the power of steroids.
I did end up winning my show.
I'm looking at her photos for about half a second. She looks peeled. She looks incredible. The wide shoulders, the small waist. And so the steroids are working.
This next show, we decided to go full on into the bodybuilding category.
And so let's move up another class. These are from famous last words. Every class that you go up, you know you're needing to use higher doses.
Our next cycle was a lot more extreme than anything I had done before. We started out at 20 milligrams of Anavar per day, 10 milligrams of Winstrol a day, Deca, which is another estrogen blocker, and Novadex starting at 8 weeks out.
And so she's starting with Anavar and Winstrol and Novadex and Arrhythmia.
He also put me on some other injectables at this point, which was Primobolan at 200 milligrams a week and Mastron every third day.
This is a man's cycle. This is not for a woman. If you want to remain female, this is not for you. Any of these is enough. 200 milligrams of Primo alone, yeah, it's safer and it's lower this and lower that. It's still excessively dangerous. Just 200 milligrams alone of Primo, if you're a female, you're going to turn into a man. You can't do it safely. It's too much.
Primobolan is a DHT derivative. It does not aromatize, which means it does not convert to estrogen.
And so notice she's taking all these things, Primo and Mastron, doesn't convert to estrogen, but at the same time, she's taking Arrhythmia and Nova. Make that make sense. I'm taking everything that doesn't aromatize to make sure that my estrogen doesn't go up, and I'm going to shut down my production of estrogen. I'm going to make it so that the estrogen in my body, it doesn't actually work. And so listen, you do need some estrogen in order for your body to work. I know everyone has villainized the word estrogen. Oh, it's bad, it's females, bloating. You need estrogen for your body to produce muscles effectively. And so, for example, if you're a man, notice how there's usually test as a base of every cycle. If you just take, for example, Anavar with no testosterone, your testosterone production goes down, you have less estrogen, you can't build as much muscle. And so no matter what, if you're a man, essentially you're taking some form of testosterone as a base. And so as a woman, why would you take Arrhythmia and Novadex when taking Primo and Mastrone? Make it make sense.
And for those who are well versed in PEDs, you are either cringing or you're not surprised. The side effects that I got from this cycle was I got up to 160 pounds. My hair was officially done.
She's being open, honest, and transparent. So if you guys think I'm shitting on this woman, I'm using her as a warning to be careful. She's lost essentially all of her hair. She loves the changes, but it does come at a price of her femininity. Remember, these androgens are slowly converting her, and I'd argue not so slowly converting her into that of a man.
I had bad anxiety, and my sex drive was just off the charts, insane, couldn't focus. You get it.
Women, now you know what it's like to be a man. There, I said it. Her sex drive was so hard she couldn't focus. And so many men experience this. And so you're thinking, why do men go to the bar, to the clubs all the time? Why are they on Bumble, swiping left, swiping right? She gets it. Notice how she's feeling.
And this show, I missed my pro card by one placing. Into 2022 and 2023 was my prep for when I did get my pro card. We did the exact same cycle, except we added in Clen right away.
And I ended up in second. So for my next show, I did the same cycle, except I added in Clen right away. Clen is a last-ditch effort. It's not something you start with. It's something you add on because, well, you have to lose some weight. You didn't put in the work. You ate like an asshole in the off-season. If you needed to start with Clen, you needed to not start your prep, or you need to start it sooner. Clen, I would never have anyone use for longer than the final 6 weeks. And that's it. Some coaches, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. You need to wait longer than last time. And rather than Clen, you can do cardio. And rather than doing cardio, you could also eat less. You don't need to do 2 or 3 hours of cardio a day. If you, in fact, don't eat too many calories, it's calories in, calories out.
I was deep into prep when I decided to drop this coach due to the fact that he would not budge on the diuretics.
And so she then said, look, I'm dropping you as my coach because I don't want to use diuretics. Now, could there have been a happy medium? Instead of 28 pills, why don't we do half of a tablet? But whatever. She then wins her pro card. She goes on slightly lower doses, and you get the point. You've seen the cycles, you've seen the doses, you've seen that she wants to win at all costs.
So here is my last full cycle.
And at this point, full-blown cystitis, bladder pain, inflammation, it's hurting all the time, it's a nightmare, and she needs to take some time off. Since this time, she's still an IFBB pro. She wants to compete, and she's on lower doses. Not safe doses, but in comparison to what she took in the past, she's doing extremely high TRT, 15 milligrams a day. Remember, the original doctor, the endocrinologist, prescribed her 8 milligrams.
I was getting regular breakouts. I had full-blown cystitis symptoms, meaning pain.
And so the doctor has stated, look, it's the steroids that change this for your bladder, the cystitis, most likely a result of taking steroids. And so steroids can do a lot to the body. It can also cause problems with the mind. Remember, she described her anxiety. And so let this be a warning to you. And so she's had full laser to remove the hair off of her face. She has had some hair dropping from her head. She talks about the fact she previously had acne. Clitoral enlargement is permanent, and there's nothing she can do about her voice.
Another side effect I will not be able to reverse without surgery would be the clitoral enlargement, which, if I'm being honest, that's probably the only side effect I would actually choose to keep if it was up to me.
Now, she is in fact happy with this enlargement, but hey, to each their own. Hey, body positivity.
I would have gotten blood work before I ever touched a PED, and only then would I introduce secondary compounds. And even then, it would have been in the forms of HGH and possibly SORM.
She's saying if she could go back in time, she would have done lower doses and used some compounds like, for example, HGH that wouldn't have caused all that virilization.
You cannot bodybuild at a competitive level without at least some type of steroid usage. And you cannot use steroids without there being some type of side effect. Unless you have the craziest genetics known to man, you are not going to get far in competitive bodybuilding as a natural.
And she says, look, no matter what people are saying, you can't compete as an IFBB pro and do well without steroids. There's bodybuilding and there's steroids, and they go synonymously together. You can't expect somebody to be an Olympiad champion if they're not using steroids. And so does bodybuilding promote steroids, or do steroids promote bodybuilding? Which came first? And of course, let me remind you, if you're trying to grow muscle safely, Turk Platinum, Turk Builder Max, these are much safer than last time. Of course, GLP Max, so you don't have to resort to using Clen and T3. And there's a host of other supplements, for example, G-Test Platinum. We have a variety of supplements. If you're interested, code Greg, 15% off. Interested in getting your blood work, of course, go to Algo RX, cheaper than last time. Qualified doctors look at your blood work for much cheaper prices. You can get various medical supplements, for example, enclomiphene, Cialis, Viagra, Telmisartan. The list goes on and on. If you're interested in coaching by myself, click the link in the description, of course, for cookbooks, training books, coaching plans by me and my team, the Circle Diet Book, Momentous Clothing. Click the link, which is started by Coach Greg, Eric Janicki, and Hussein Farhat. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Don't forget to like one of those two videos. And until next time, I am out.